Hello, I'm Ann Gritch, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this segment of the oral history of the Diocese of San Jose. And with me today is Sister Graciela Ramos. Sister is a member of the Eucharistic Missionaries, the Eucharistic Missionaries of the Most Holy Trinity. We refer to them very fondly as our Mexican sisters. So they have just and continue to be real gift to our diocese, so I'm thrilled that Sister Graciela is here. So welcome, Sister.
Thank you, Anne. I'm very happy to be here. A pleasure.
Oh, wonderful. First of all, why don't you just tell us about the order, about we call them what, the MESST sisters, M-E-S-S-T?
Yes, we're known as a MESST sister.
MESST sisters.
And I always say we're not a mess, but a MESST, the MESST sisters.
Get that T in there.
Yes. Yeah, so we were founded in Mexico. We're Mexican sisters, 1936.
Oh, my.
Yes, by a missionary of the Holy Spirit, Father Pablo Maria Guzman, and Reverend Mother Enriqueta Rodriguez Noriega. She wasn't a sister when she started, but she became a sister. This was in Mexico City. And our father had a vision for us. We necessarily don't have like a specific ministry that we do. So we do different kind of ministries. We have different, we have schools. We have missions in Bolivia. We have a mission in Japan. And then here we have parish work. We have been working here mostly in parishes. But the vision was that we needed to seek and to form the adorers of the Father in spirit and in truth. That means to whatever we are with the people, to reclaim their baptismal call, specifically in the sense of people having a dignity as sons and daughters of God.
All right.
And then in recognizing that, we are building a Eucharistic people, meaning a thankful, a grateful person.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving is like the core of our...
Which, of course, Eucharist means.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yeah,
so you began in 1936 in Mexico.
In Mexico,
okay.
Yes.
And then what was the first mission after that? When did you leave Mexico as a community and establish other houses?
So we established some houses in Mexico. When our community started, they spread out very quickly to within the Mexican Republic, some states. But we were the first Mexican woman community that founded a mission in China, 1948.
Wow.
So we were founded in 1936. Then 1948.
Just 12 years later.
Yes. But then we were only there for a couple of years because the government expelled the sisters. Yeah. But then that opened the door to go to Japan, 1952. So that was
1952
But
Japan.
in that process, also 1950, we went to South America, Bolivia, just after the declaration of the Assumption of Mary.
Oh, August 15th.
Yes. Yeah. That was part of a request from the Pope to our founder to go to Bolivia. So now that was 1950.
Wow.
But before we went to China. Yeah.
And then Japan.
And then Japan, yes.
That
1952.
That is really amazing.
Yes.
So how did you get to this country?
It's very interesting, talking about Japan. Because back then, and I'm not that, I was born later, but the way that the sisters traveled to Japan was to take cruise ships. They were, I don't know if it was because they were cheaper or I don't know, but it will take them like a month to get there. So they will do stops. And one of the stops was San Francisco.
No kidding.
And I think our mother founder, when she was here, because she stopped in San Francisco and she thought, it will be nice to have a house so that, because the stops will be, for maybe 2 or 3 days. So it will be nice to have a house and, so the sisters can go and rest and then continue the journey. So that's what she thought. And then, talking to the Bishop of Mexico, he mentioned that he was friends with the Archbishop.
Oh, Archbishop McGuckin.
Yes.
Around that
correct.
time.
Yes.
Okay.
So because that friendship, he mentioned that there was sisters that were willing to come and work because there was a lot of Spanish-speaking community.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that's when the sisters were invited to come to
That
the
is
diocese.
terrific.
1965.
So it was because Sister was en route from Japan to Mexico and stopped in San Francisco.
Yes.
I love that. That
And
is
then she
absolutely
thought about,
wonderful. This is a nice place. We could stay here.
yeah, and I mean, it came true after, because, 1952, 1965. Yeah.
So you really from 1936 to 1965 to be in all these countries. This is amazing.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you really, the Holy Spirit was with you.
Definitely. Yes.
Now, how did you come to the Diocese of San Jose?
Well, because, Archdiocese of San Francisco and then San Jose, split. So the Archbishop, as the two sisters that came to go to Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish.
Oh, when we were still part of the Archdiocese.
Yes, so that was 1965.
Uh-huh.
So bishop sent them to Our Lady of Guadalupe. So he wanted them specifically to work with, the Spanish community in San Jose. But the pastor then, he said, I think I'm fine.
Because that was a Franciscan parish.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a Franciscan parish. So then the first parish that the sisters started working was St. Patrick's.
Downtown.
Yes. So that was kind of the first parish.
So what was the reaction of the community, Sister, when the announcement was made, which was January 27th, 1981, that San Jose would become its own diocese?
I guess because they were already building community here, it was, they were happy to be just part of this area. Because they were already here. They were like a little farther than the connection with the Archbishop, wasn't, because they were here. The ministry was here.
Yeah.
So the sisters were very happy too.
Yeah.
And by that time, a couple of sisters have, been here, like not just the two that came first, but a couple more sisters.
And of course, our first bishop, Bishop Dumaine, was fluent in Spanish.
And they were very happy, and I think they have a good relationship with Bishop Dumaine.
I think so too.
Yeah. They had a very good relationship, and they were very hard workers.
And busy parishes. I mean, St. Patrick's was, and of course, then it became the proto-cathedral.
Yes, St. Patrick's, Sacred Heart.
Oh, yeah.
Most Holy Trinity, John
busy
Our Lady
parishes.
Guadalupe.
Finally.
St. Joseph, Montebello, a lot of parishes the sisters were doing ministry.
Well, I came to work in the diocese in 1987, and one of the first group that I met was your community, and I'm remembering particularly Sister Maria Luisa.
Yes.
She was at St. Martin, Sunnyvale, and then moved to my parish, to Our Lady of the Rosary. This was before St. Thomas, consolidated. And Sister Gisela, of course, was at St. Catherine, and now she's the vocation director?
Yes. We've been present until last year in St. Catherine's. So first, Sister Maria Luisa was the one who started going to Morgan Hill. Because what they did is that they started visiting families and then, asking, the needs so that the church can help them. So they started building community. So Sister Maria Luisa was, and Sister Conchita, and they would visit, they would visit families. Sister Gisela will come along with them. And then, it was more like a more permanent ministry in St. Catherine for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
And
St. John Vianney, too, I remember, a long time.
Yeah, a couple of sisters worked there. It is amazing how when I talk to priests, some of the priests, the San Jose priests, and they always remember the sisters.
Oh, sure.
They said, I learned how to work because I work with this sister. And it is beautiful to hear that from the priest.
Yeah. And of course, when Bishop Garcia was Father Garcia here in our diocese, he was just very appreciative and grateful for the sisters and just enjoyed being with you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We still have a very good relationship with him.
Yeah.
I think the sisters met him when he was a seminarian.
Probably.
Yes. And then we built that relationship with him, and they work a lot with him. With some other priests.
Yes, and he was at the Centro Pastoral, which was at Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Yes, and some of the sisters were part of that too. Sister
Yeah.
Conchita, and
Yeah.
I believe Sister Catalina Vallardo. I don't know if you remember
I
her.
remember Sister Catalina.
Yes,
Yeah.
she started with a couple of couples, the family Christian movement, you
Uh-huh.
know,
Yep.
in Spanish.
In Spanish, yeah.
So they, you know,
It's wonderful. Now,
Yes.
tell me about you. You were born in Mexico?
I was born in Mexico, in a northern state in Mexico, Durango. But I came to the States when I was 15.
Ah,
So we emigrated. My father was here since he was 16. So he was going back and forth. And then he got married, and, you know, he was had the opportunity to, after years and years, to, you know, we have, he brought us here.
and here being California?
Actually, no,
No.
Las Vegas. I
Las
came to Las
Vegas, I
Vegas.
love it.
Yes, I consider Vegas my hometown because I finished my high school years there. I lived there, and then I entered the convent in Orange County, actually. Like, we have a community there.
I was
so
going to say,
that's-
because how did you come to know the sisters?
Yeah, I mean, it was through a missionary of the Holy Spirit, and I emailed Sister Graciela. I emailed her. I'm like in this generation, and then, you know, we connected from there, and you know,
And here you are.
and here I am. You know, it's 3 years of formation in Orange County, and then I went back to Mexico for the roots because we learned about our community. 3 years, and then in 2008 I came to
So
this
you've
diocese.
almost been 10 years
Yes,
in San Jose.
yes, I've been here for
Oh.
10 years almost.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, it's
So
been
tell us about your ministry here. Where did you, what was your first assignment here?
So Sister Virginia was in San Maria Goretti, and then she was moved to Orange, and I came to San Maria Goretti.
Which is one of the biggest and most
Yes,
complex
that was
parishes.
kind of like yeah, it was a very challenging experience,
Sure.
but a beautiful experience.
Baptism by fire.
Yes, I learned a lot in that community. I did religious ed, you know, the Spanish part. And
Now,
I
was Father Kevin Joyce pastor there?
no, it was Father Steve Brown. And he was there.
Yeah.
I worked with him, and yeah, I did the religious education coordination, and I also did. I worked with the ministers, so I worked there. And then because I went full-time school, I moved to St. Lawrence part-time,
Okay.
and I was there for 4 years.
Now, where were you going to school?
I went to Notre Dame de Namur.
Oh, yes, in Belmont.
Yes.
Yes.
Small school. I like that because, you know, and I commute.
From St. Lawrence. Yeah, you had a bit, of course, in those days it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah, I mean,
The traffic.
I graduated 2 years ago.
All right. Good
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then,
Working and going to school.
Yes.
That's-
and then now I'm at San Leos, which is a beautiful parish.
yeah.
And I'm say beautiful in all sense. You know, you come to that church and it's just amazing.
It's so much a church. you know,
Yes.
inside. Yeah. You
Yes,
know you're
you
in
don't.
church.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a beautiful church. But the people are very beautiful. I do religious ed too with Father
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yes. And of course, both of you are new.
Yes.
This is your first year together.
Yes, yes. It's been a blessing and a challenge, but it's, you know, God is good and God works. So,
That's great.
yeah, it's been good.
So there are 3 of you now in community living in
Yes.
San Jose.
Yes, Sister Sylvia, Our Lady of Refuge, Sister Gisela as a vocation director, and myself, St. Leo's. Yes.
And if I remember, the sisters, do you go home and do you go to Mexico in the summertime?
Yes.
I kind of remember, was it July was sort of the sisters were not around?
Yeah, July is a month that we go. Some of us go and take some study courses. We have meetings with the sisters. And then we also visit family.
Oh, sure.
Although I don't visit family because they're here.
They're in Las Vegas.
So I go to Vegas sometimes. This year I'm going to Mexico, but yeah, we have time to also visit our families when we go in July.
That's good.
Yeah.
And to connect with the larger community.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Because we're 3, we need that connection with the rest of the community. So it's a good time to be there.
That's great. Can you tell us any stories of people who've really inspired you in the community or in the diocese or in Las Vegas?
You know, the people that most inspire me, and this is even since forever, is actually the people that volunteer at church. And I have names, and it's amazing, their generosity. It kind of like speak to me of how I should, live my vocation.
Wow.
In generosity. St. Maria Goretti was a very special place for me. The people there, and very specific people, inspire me, really inspire me to be the consecrated woman that I am. And I can name people in St. Lawrence too, and St. Leo's. The generosity of people volunteer their time, their talent, and their treasure, as we said too. It's just amazing. And we also have the opportunity. I also had the opportunity to work with such a good priest here in the diocese. I feel like I'm being so blessed to have worked with the priests that I have worked, because I see them, not necessarily only when they out there with the people, but there's things that the priests do that nobody knows. But those are the things that you appreciate, and you see that they're good.
The behind the scenes, yeah.
The behind the scenes.
No glory, no.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. And people don't see a lot of that.
I know.
And I feel blessed that I can see that, and I can give thanks to God for their vocation too.
Well, it just warms my heart to hear you say this, because I love this diocese, and I do think we have wonderful clergy, wonderful women religious, and lay people who are, as you say, generous, involved, whether it's at a volunteer level or staff people. They're generous, as you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I came to St. Leo's, I was, it was like I was put there and I had to jump in the pool.
Right.
And it impressed me, the people, the warmth and the welcoming of the people.
Yeah.
So I felt that I belonged there, and that's what inspires me to be,
That is
to
wonderful.
give it our best.
And of course, particularly our Latino community, they love your sisters. They really do.
Yes.
It's quite wonderful. What do you see, Sister, as some of the challenges that face the Latino Hispanic community, particularly now?
Yes. You mentioned, the political, situation that we're living in the country it hit very hard in the community.
Yeah. Fear.
Yes. Families that come and ask, what will you do? Like, question you, what do you do if if they come and ask? And I just tell them what I will do, but I don't really know. I think the challenge is that I don't know if the challenge is more for us, if we're prepared to really accompany, the people, especially those that are in fear. But the challenge also is that, the sense of family because of this and because of the situation, that's a challenge, how to accompany, the families, especially Spanish-speaking families that are very family-oriented. Right. But then that now it seems like they're, because of their work or because of their situations. And then, how do you accompany them? And then
when both parents are working so hard and 2 or 3 jobs.
And it's mostly accompany the family as a whole, because yes, we have the children, we have the teens, but I think there's the challenge now for the Hispanic community is how to again strengthen the family, which is also one of the strengths that we have as a Spanish community.
Yeah.
And also, how do we foster vocations in that family? There's so much need of Spanish-speaking priests.
Yes. And English-speaking too. We do need to pray for vocations.
And I see it now that I'm working at St. Leo's. Where there's a vibrant community. Well, it is a vibrant community, Spanish community. It's the biggest community that we have. And yet, we need more,
for sacraments,
priests
for,
from their own families.
Yeah.
And how do we accompany families, strengthen families so that,
and
we can
encourage. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So I think the challenge is more for us.
for you than for the community.
For the community, yes.
What do you see? We've already mentioned a sense of family, but what are the strengths in the Hispanic community?
They're very generous. They're very lovable, like very respectful to the things of God, to the as you said, they love their sisters. They love their priest.
Yeah.
They're very forgiving in that sense. Once you walk with them.
Yeah.
Because the Hispanic community have suffered a lot within the church. So, but once they feel that you're with them, they can do anything. Anything.
That's quite wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, that really is. Yeah. Yeah. And I do know firsthand that generosity. And I've noticed too a real desire to learn. When I was
Yes.
directing the Institute for Leadership and Ministry, our Spanish-speaking side, it was full all the time, and wonderful people. Wonderful
Yes,
people.
and you see that in religious ed. The Spanish track with parents is full, and then the English track is a little more fewer people, and they're there, but they don't. So there's that desire to learn.
I also think that sense of devotion.
Yes.
Our Lady of Guadalupe, obviously, but the devotions to the Rosary, to just processions.
Yeah, we're full of
it kind
traditions.
of reminds
Yes.
us.
Yes, and the children wearing a Our Lady medal. Like there's so many things like that that we have as
a
that
community.
identified us as a community. Yes. Yes.
Well, this is wonderful. What else should we be talking about, Sister?
I was just gonna, because I admire my sisters that were here from the past. I believe they're pioneers in the Spanish ministry.
I would say so.
And they're, they work so hard. And I think a lot of the ministries that we have is not just them, but they have a lot to do with it. The priests that helped them in the process, and everything that that they did, and everything that they went through. I think this is the first time that we talk about my sisters as a very important part in the diocese.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
No,
so
that's why I'm so happy that
I just
you're
want to recognize that.
Absolutely.
I'm just kind of like I'm following their steps, but yes, they did a lot.
Oh, yeah, but in another 20 years, they'll be mentioning you.
Yeah.
No, you are a great gift.
Yes.
I was wondering, is your community also in San Francisco still, or
no? Once the diocese,
Jose.
became San Jose, we stayed in San
here.
Jose.
Okay.
Yeah. So we only have another community in Orange County, Diocese of Orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And of course, now you don't take the ship from Japan to.
now we fly.
Right.
We fly. I've never been there, but yeah. But before it was like that. It was just a lot of stories of those trips.
Oh, I can imagine. Can you imagine a month at sea?
Yes, and some of the the journey wasn't very comfortable in many ways.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were missionaries.
You're missionaries.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
I do like what you had said earlier too, that there was not a specific ministry. It's just whatever the need is.
Yes, and we have been. Mostly our founder thought about, and it will sound interesting, but it was more like a spiritual need that he felt that it was needed when he thought about our community, and that was so that the people know the love that Father, the person of the Father. And that they feel feel your relationship with that Father, and to reclaim the dignity that they have. And then in terms, once you recognize that, then you're able to also, speak of that to other people.
Exactly.
So it's like a circle. So and our charism is to seek and to form the adorers. So first you have to be one, then you search for that person, and then you form that person, you walk with them, and then that person, will continue that journey.
Precisely.
Yeah, so
it's a wonderful form of evangelization.
Yeah, and thanksgiving on the background. Like, our Father said, you need to give thanks for the greatest gift of the Eucharist, the greatest gift for the priesthood. We're a very priestly community too. So especially giving thanks for the priesthood. And we also, invite the people to be also grateful for our priest.
Sure.
And I also want to mention that we have a lay branch.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Huh. Kind of associates? Or?
Yes. They were founded a year after we were founded.
Oh, my.
So it was
1937.
Yes. Our founder had a vision of lay women, specifically lay women, so that they live our spirituality exactly like us, but in their own
without
state.
The vows,
yes,
right?
Yes, they do have a consecration. They do go through formation. There's 3 years of formation, and they have a ceremony where they do a consecration, and they do a promise of obedience to the superiors, not in the sense of our vow of obedience, but more in the sense of to live the spirituality in according to the state, married, single, yeah, and they're very active in the diocese too.
That's terrific. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're volunteers in parishes. They do a lot of ministries. So they're very, very. They're also a support group for us in many ways.
Oh,
like
yeah.
sisters.
Sisters,
yes.
right?
Yeah. So that's another gift that we have.
Well, we are very grateful to Archbishop McGuckin for and his friend. Who was the bishop? Who was his friend?
Darío Miranda, that's his name.
And also Bishop Miranda.
Yes.
And for the fact that you came by ship, just all kinds of wonderful things that brought you here to the Diocese of San Jose.
Yeah.
So
it was interesting times when they came.
I can imagine.
The civil rights movements, and sisters were involved in everything.
Sure.
We're in the 5th encuentro, right?
Yes, we are.
So the sisters were very much involved in the first encuentro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
believe that.
it's yeah.
Your history and kind of the history of the country kind of goes parallel. Be very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned when we were chatting off camera that the sisters keep a record of
yes.
Yeah, which I think is wonderful. So you have a written history.
Yes, we have names of people. Another interesting that happened is that there was a group of youth, Spanish-speaking youth, from Sacred Heart, and their meetings were at our house.
Oh.
So, and that was kind of like the first official Spanish-speaking youth group.
All right.
And they were very involved in the parish, but the meeting place was our house.
That's wonderful.
And then we have, the sisters did some campaigns on teaching people to read and to write, Bible courses. Like, they were doing everything. Like, because that was the need back then.
Yeah.
They would go to the fields in Gilroy. Like, they would, every time I talk about it, I'm amazed of what they did. Very audacious women.
But you're still doing some wonderful things too.
Yes, we're working hard and
yes.
and doing what God is calling us to do. So yes.
Well, Sister, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you very much. It's a delight to talk about our diocese and our
it's true.
sisters.
It's a delight for me to listen to it. So thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you.